Why do so many black Americans think they're the only ones who are really black?
I know there's African people that live there, but I didn't know black people live there.
Certain black Americans seek to separate those with African heritage from those who are direct descendants of American slavery and believe that to be black, you have to be the latter. Meanwhile, in Canada, and pretty much everywhere else the diaspora exists, black includes African, Caribbean, South American, mixed race people, and thrives on being a diverse community. But LT, they're just trying to claim their heritage and get what they're owed for building the nation. What's the issue? My problem is shown in the old poem, when they say first I came for the communists and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Every group is slowly taken out until finally they came for me and there was no one left to speak out for me. You can separate yourself from all other black people and probably stand by while anti-black sentiment is directed at us. But when the same people come for you, who's going to be there to stand with you? So what do you think? Is black just an American identity, or do they need to acknowledge black is much bigger than that? Let me know in the comments.
Oh, have you noticed that black Americans don't think anyone else is black apart from them? Can't lie, man. Being English, I'm thankful sometimes because the accent that you gave me, it saves me across the world, fam. Before they think I'm a typical you guys will say something that lets me know I am different to you. There was one time we went to New York and me and my brother just crossed the road anyhow. When we crossed the street, one policeman stopped us. Excuse me, sirs. Y'all can't cross the street like that. Y'all can't cross the street like that. Obviously, me and my brother are just kids. So we've told him like, oh, we didn't know we can't cross the street like that. We're sorry, we're not from here. Do you know what the policeman said to us? Do you know what he said? He said, man, I like that accent. Y'all free to go. Y'all free to go. I thought y'all was black. In our face, he said that he thought we were black. So what am I then? You're not black. You can't be black. Y'all British blacks be crazy as fuck, man. How the fuck y'all be black, British, African at the same time? How you do that shit, man? Make up your mind, fool. Oh, have you noticed that black Americans don't think anyone else is black apart from them? Can't lie.
This is so real. I've been living here in the US for 1 year. I'm Brazilian and I'm black, of course. But I heard from people that I'm not black because I'm Latina, which is absurd. Also, black people. I don't want to generalize because there's a lot of black people that don't think like that. But there's a lot of black people that think that Americans, black Americans, are the only black ones in the world. This is like, it makes no sense to me. It feels like I have to prove my blackness all the time. Like they know what it is to be black because there's so many shit that happens in this country. But racism is a global institution. It happens everywhere. And all black people from all the world and all the shades are affected by it.
Honestly, some Africans have choose not to let black Americans rest. But the truth is, black Americans are not just saying that they are the only persons that are considered to be black. Black Americans, for what I see, is just that they are minding their spaces, they are minding their business, they are trying to like identify with themselves. So I have never seen any black American coming up to be like, oh, we are the only black in the whole wide world. So stop confusing your experience and merging everything together to make it look like black Americans are saying that they are the only black people in the whole wide world. Let's put that there, point blank, period. But anyways, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. With that being said, let's dive right into other part of the video. Let's have or hear what other people have to say, and I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
Do y'all believe that only people in America that are American can be black?
If we're talking about black as in the race based in America, then yes. Because race is only based on phenotype. It's only based on the way you look and the way you are perceived. However, the culture of being black is different. I do not consider the diaspora to be black culturally. I do not consider their cultures to be black. Like they might say I'm from Nigeria, which that's a Nigerian culture. They might say I'm from Sudan, which that's a Sudanese culture. And we are black Americans, so it is a black culture. And I know people say we don't have culture, but we absolutely do. And the entire diaspora picks and takes from our culture. Okay. I think sometimes our culture gets mixed in with American culture because the non-blacks also try to steal our culture because we just that fly, we just that hot. But we are the first black people, technically. We are black Americans, and we have built our own culture with our own food, with our own dances, with our own vibe, our own music. And yeah, we can only be that. You cannot get the black American cookout experience at any other place in any other country because they are not black culturally. Hate it or love it, this is the truth.
Main reason why black people accept a lot of people that's black with the one drop rule being irrelevant today, because a lot of black Americans got family members that look like almost a lot of people. Okay, when you go to a black American family reunion, it's not unusual to see some family members that look like they just got off the boat of Africa, okay? Some of our family members look like Ekon Young Jeezy. Some of them look like Wakanda Forever. It ain't nothing wrong with that. You could look like Wakanda Forever, be beautiful. And then some of my family members look like they white, especially the oldest ones, okay? The oldest ones, some of them be looking like they white. You gotta look at them real hard to find their blackness. Instead of looking like a grandma, they look like a Mima. Ain't nothing wrong with looking like a Mima, by the way. And then some of our family members look like Mexicans. Ain't nothing wrong looking like a Mexican either. But yeah, if you live from, especially if you're from the South, especially in that between Alabama and Texas area, Louisiana, Mississippi, yeah, you got at least one or two family members that look like their name should be Jose Maria. So yeah, sometimes it be hard to tell if a person is not black or not. When they say they're black, we know some family members that look like them. But that's why DNA test is needed. We need to do DNA tests to be for sure.
I feel like you guys are making it seem like I'm saying that black Americans don't have African ancestry. That's not what I'm saying. There are some black Americans who do think that. I don't know where they got that from, but that's not me. And I'm not going to try to speak for those people. But I really just feel like it's funny how you guys will make fun of black Americans and you'll talk about how we think that Africa is a country and not a continent. But yet you keep saying that we're African as if African is a country or Africa is a country. Knowing, because you're from there, knowing that there's all these different countries, all these different cultures, all these different ethnic groups, they all look different. Nobody is the same throughout the entire continent. Everybody's different. So what does that even really mean for me? Like, what does that means nothing to me. And that's not to say, like, I feel like some of you guys, like the Africans who have some pushback against me saying that black Americans are not African American, we're black American or we're just American. I feel like it's almost like you guys think I'm trying to say that there's something wrong with being African, or that we don't like Africans, or that we think we're better than Africans, or that we're ashamed of having some African ancestry. That is not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we are very far removed from Africa. That doesn't mean that the bloodline disappears, or that we don't have African ancestry. Because I'm pretty sure if I was to do a DNA test, it would come up from all different parts of Africa. I'm sure it would. But that none of that means nothing to me because I'm not from there. My everybody that I know that I'm related to is from right here in America. So I don't feel no connection to nobody over there. Nobody in Africa. I don't feel connected to that. Like, I don't feel any more connected to African immigrants than I do to Indian or Chinese or anybody else that comes here from somewhere else around the world. I don't feel any more connection because that connection was severed hundreds of years ago. So that doesn't mean nothing to me. All right, we're just we're really just American. We went through ethnogenesis right here in America. There's nothing wrong with me saying that. That does not mean that we're denouncing having African ancestry. Like, I don't know. You guys are just hearing what you want to hear. It's like you wanna be butthurt or something. I don't understand that. Like, I don't get it.
Somebody said, not the cultural appropriation with the braids. I came out of a black woman.
And that is the video I saw right before seeing another video of a white woman saying, question for my black people. To which my antennas perked up because what? You know what I mean? What? But sister was simply just asking, how can you as a black person tell when someone else is black, even when they are just that 1/8? Because that young lady to me that I just showed, immediately black. I didn't have to scroll through anything. But if you go to her comments, the very first comment says, this woman looks white as all outside. So it really has me thinking like, well, how do we, like, what is it? And simply put, sister, I cannot directly answer that for you. But what I can do is show you this. Black woman. Black man. Little black girl. Fully black nuclear family.
That's Uncle Morris, Jimmy, Uncle Raven, and that's nigga Jimmy, Uncle Joe, and Chester Glenn. They thought all them niggas was Mexicans.
Which is actually how they were able to get into the funeral business. Because, you know, at that time, Negroes were not in a space where they could own much. And so the only reason they were able to even start in the funeral home industry is because they were thought to be Hispanic. They were passing. Gotcha! Simply put, sister, it is more of a feeling. Even in that 1/8, it's a feeling. And it's not always a big feeling either. You might find it in their mannerisms, their speech, their body language, their hair texture. Yeah? Even the ones that try to hide it. When you know, you knew. It's a feeling. It's the energy.
Black Americans are like the only blacks in the diaspora that really don't know what it's like to live in a black country. When I say a black country, I mean a country where the president's black, the government officials are black, the leaders are black. Most of the people who govern the country are black. That's something that Black Americans have really never experienced because Black Americans have been in America. Their parents have been in America. Most of the time, their grandparents and great-grandparents have been in America. It's been centuries. So it's just something that we never experienced. And one of the things that really makes a difference is that when things are run by Black people, that means it's laws and the way things are set up are created for Black people. So, I mean, in African countries, obviously the leadership is African. Things are done in a way that suits the African people. Whereas in America, Black Americans have a very different situation where Black Americans have been here for centuries, yet the country has never really, I mean, aside from having one Black president, Barack Obama, which he was the president, but most of the government officials were not Black. Aside from that, we have not experienced being in a country that's run by Black people. When it's run by Black people, like I said, everything is set up for Blacks, meaning you can go into any grocery store, clothing store, skincare product, makeup, you're going to be able to find something for you. There was a long time where Black Americans could not find the right products. For example, makeup. I remember back in the 80s and 70s, and the makeup was not created for Black people. If a Black woman wore a lot of the makeup that was out there, they would look like a ghost or like a clown because it just wasn't created for us. I even heard that like Band-Aids were created in like a beige color because they were made for white people, not for Black people. So just the whole structure of the country was not set up for Black people. I mean, Black people live in the country, but it wasn't set up for us. It's just a different experience, like being in a country where it's run by people who are like you and just living amongst people and not really being a part of the people who govern or lead the country. So I think that's one of the biggest differences between Black Americans and others in the diaspora, just because that experience has not been there. And also a lot of the things that Black Americans have contributed to America get washed away or overshadowed because anybody can take it and put their face on it, their non-black face on it, and say they created it. And a lot of times Black Americans cannot defend that. We live amongst, so anything that is created by Black Americans can be taken and made to be their own, somebody else's own thing. Perfect example of that, I think a lot of times, a lot of the dances that have been created by Black Americans, a lot of the culture, the food, the way that Black Americans speak, dress, has been, I don't want to say taken, but just has been emulated by other groups, have been copied. It's getting to the point now where sometimes people don't even realize who they took it from. They don't even realize where they got it from. A lot of the dance moves, I mean, sometimes people think they created it, not even realize, like those, like breakdancing, like hip hop, most of these dance styles originated with Black people. Not to say that others can't do it, but I think people forget where things actually came from. It's just, you can't forget who the originators are. An example of people forgetting who originators are, I took a class, it was like a hip hop class at the gym. Nothing complicated, just kind of a normal hip hop class. And obviously I know hip hop moves. That's what we grew up doing it. And after the class, I guess this lady who had been in the class for several weeks, a Caucasian lady, she's like, I've never seen you here before, but you did it so well. You're such a good dancer. How did you pick up on everything so well? And I'm kind of looking at her like, I'm Black, but not to say all Black people can dance, but a lot of those dances, we grew up doing that. Like that, those are our dances. Like it's part of our culture. A lot of times people think that Black Americans don't have culture. We have culture. It's just that sometimes it's taken, people put their face on it and make it seem like it's something else when it's really part of our culture, and there's not much that we can do about it because we live amongst other people. So I think the best thing that we can do in the diaspora is just really try to understand each other's experiences. All the Black people in the diaspora have different experiences based on the country. The commonality that we have, gays don't get on my page saying stuff, but I consider myself an African American because I know my roots are in Africa, and that's the commonality we have, that our ancestors are from Africa. A lot of times we look the same. Well, a lot of times people can't tell a Jamaican person from a Black American person from a Nigerian person. We look very similar because of our DNA connection to Africa. So I think understanding each other's experiences. I hate to see all the diaspora wars. It's like the stupidest thing to me. It's like fighting your cousin constantly. It's ridiculous. But don't argue with me, argue with your mama. But I think understanding each other's experiences and understanding that there are differences, but there are similarities as well. None of it is worth fighting over. None of it is worth arguing with each other over. Having a mutual respect for one another, understanding of the differences is really where it's at. But back to not having the experience of being in a Black country, I think that's one of the most beautiful things about when Black Americans or Jamaicans or Haitians or anybody who's a part of the Black diaspora goes back to the motherland and can see the similarities. I was just watching a video about some Brazilians that connected with Africans, like the Yoruba people, and seeing like the similarities, because a lot of the Brazilians have have adopted the culture of the Yoruba people because the slaves that went to Brazil were part of the Yoruba people. So a lot of the culture is still the same. I just think that's a beautiful thing. They were able to make that connection. But again, Brazil was run by the Portuguese. Yes, they have the highest population of Africans outside of Africa, African country, from what I've they have the highest population of Africans outside of Africa in Brazil. And so it's just a beautiful thing that they're able to connect and understand that those ties to Africa, to Nigeria, the Yoruba tribe, it's just a beautiful thing. And I think that's what is needed in the Black diaspora. So
During the transatlantic slave trade, Africans went to the Caribbean. They later came to the Americas. Now, statistically, you can look this up right now. Only about 300,000 Africans came to what we know as the United States today. The other millions of Africans that were brought over from Africa went to the Caribbean. Christopher Columbus never touched feet in what we would consider the United States today. He landed in the Caribbean. Now, why is it that when someone from the Caribbean says, I'm from Trinidad, I'm from Jamaica, I'm from pick a fucking island, right? No one makes them put emphasis on them being African, right? I want to ask you guys this question. What's the difference between a Jamaican or a Trinidadian saying, I'm Trinidadian or Jamaican, versus a Black American saying that I'm American? What the fuck is the difference? Go right now in the comments. There is no difference. These are three groups that all came from Africa, but for some reason, the African doesn't like to hear Black Americans say, we're not African. The Jamaican doesn't claim to be African, but they came from Africa. The Trinidadian, the Haitian came from Africa. Shall I keep going? Bahamas, St. Luke, I can keep going. They all came from Africa, but the African does not put emphasis on them being African. Why do they do that to the Black American? Why is it that the Black American is the only Black, the only African that literally, the Black Americans literally have no cultural ties to the continent of Africa? That's it. But we don't ridicule the rest of the Blacks. They're Haitians. I just proved a point. Did you see that? We don't ridicule the Haitians. They're Haitian. No, those are fucking Africans that Christopher Columbus and them brought the fuck over there to Española. Okay? Why do Black Americans like that? Why? I really, truly, genuinely would love an actual answer to that question.
I need y'all to walk with me through a thought process real quick. So, if you're born in Ethiopia, you're considered African, right? If you're born in Morocco, you're considered African, right? Because these places are located in the continent of Africa, right? Okay. If you're born in Texas, you're American, right? Because Texas is located in the continent of North America. If you're born in Kansas, you're American, right? Because Kansas is located in the continent of America, correct? Okay. So, how the fuck can you be African and American? See, y'all are getting race and nationality confused. Because you can't be born two places at once, unless I'm missing some brain cells. Because last time I checked, when you go overseas and you ask people questions in regards to their identity, they tell you their nationality. Oh, I'm European. Oh, I'm Asian, right? So someone help me understand how you can be African American. Makes zero sense. You can't be born two places at once, last time I checked. So, and then another question I have is, why are Black people in America the only people who seem to have this confusion in regards to that? And I'll tell you why. It's because Black people are the chosen people of God. And if I'm trying to rape and pillage motherfuckers, I need to spread misinformation. And I need to make sure they don't know who the fuck they are so I can benefit off that ignorance. Right? Or am I missing something? Someone please correct me.
Black Americans often identify as Black because the term become a powerful cultural, political, and historical identity shaped by centuries of shared experience in the United States. But it is important to note that Black Americans are not the only people who identify as Blacks. Many people across the world do, including people in Nigeria, Jamaica, Brazil, South Africa, even in the United Kingdom and elsewhere. The meaning of Black, however, can differ depending on the country and your history. For Black Americans specifically, their identity developed because one, slavery erased many ethnicity origin, where during the transatlantic slave trade, enslaved Africans were taken from many ethnic groups and regions in Africa. Families were separated, languages were lost, and records were destroyed over generations. Many descendants could no longer trace a specific ethnic identity like the Yoruba, the Igbos, the Akars, or the Wafos. As a result, many people develop a broader shared identity, Black or Black Americans. 2. History became a major social category in America. In the United States, law and society historically divided people by race, especially during slavery and segregation. Under systems like Jim Crow laws, people were labeled Blacks regardless of their specific ancestries. Over time, many Black Americans reclaimed the word and turned it into the symbol of pride, resilience, and solidarity. The term, which is the third one, the term involved political and cultural, where in different eras term changes. Colors were common in the late 1800s and the late 1900s, where Negroes were widely used during the civil rights eras. Black is beautiful movement in the 1960s and the 1970s helped popularize Blacks as a positive identity. African American, which is now known as the Foundation of Black American, the FBAs, themselves, also became widely used to emphasize cultural roots and heritage. Leaders like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. influenced conversation about identity, dignity, and self-definitions. 4. Black Americans' identity is also cultural. For many people, Black in America is not only about skin color, it is referred to a shared cultural experience shaped by family history, church traditions, music, language and slangs, food, fashion, civil rights struggles, community life. That culture has strongly influenced the world through things like hip-hop, jazz, rhythms, and blues. So the identity Black for many Black Americans became a way to unify people whose original ethnicity identity were disrupted and who share a long common history in the United States. It's as simple as that. So for a lot of them that will come up and say, oh, Black Americans just want to identify as Black. They don't want every other person to identify as Black. They don't want every other race to identify as Black. I don't know where you're getting that from. They just choose not to identify as African American. Some of them do, because some are still saying, oh, I don't mind you calling me African American. But for those ones that know that they are indigenous, they don't want to be identified with that. I don't see anything that is wrong. And Black Americans have never said that they are the only existing Blacks. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.